Welcome to the Forge Truth Podcast, where we are building great men as God defines greatness. Forge is a movement of men with a mission to help all men realize they're the deeply beloved, redeemed sons of the Most High God. I'm your producer, Zach, and I'm here to discuss the issues that affect men the most with our two hosts, Dr. Pete Alwinson, lifelong pastor and leader of Forge, and Jason Quiñones, Bishop of Core Faith Church in Oviedo, Florida. Men, welcome to the show.
Hey, here we are, ready to go.
We are ready again.
Great to see you guys. Absolutely. Today we're talking about New Year's resolutions, and it's been about a month since the New Year started, and so we want to check in with you guys about your own personal New Year's resolutions. Maybe get some of your advice about what kind of resolutions are good, what kind of goals are good for men to have, and then how to stick with them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but before we start, I just want to remind everyone at home, you can subscribe to the show so you get our latest episode every single time. And you can share with a friend and get them on the Forge Truth train. And be sure to comment and like as well. We would love that.
They'd be more spiritual if they subscribed, right? Not just watch once in a while. I mean, they might get totally sanctified in 2025.
Yeah. I think that the most spiritual guys like, subscribe, and share. That's what I think.
That's right. That's great. That's great.
Oh, man.
Okay, so new year, new you. Do either of you have New Year's resolutions that you're actually trying to go for this year? Or is that a thing you do?
Yeah. What about you guys? I'm going to say yes, but I want you guys to go public first.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do. As we were thinking about this podcast, a pastor friend of mine last year, he posted it, which kind of got me thinking. He said that most people have quit their New Year's resolution by about the 21st of January. I kind of looked it up just to verify, and so nearly a third, according to one writer, nearly 1/3 of goal setters abandon their aspirations in January. So they didn't even make it out of January. Another 63% of participants stop pursuing their goals in February. So anyway, for me, yes, I do. So all that said, I decided that I'm going to actually start my New Year's resolution, and that's going to be this week that I'm starting. So that way I've already passed the quit point, so there it is. But yes, I do. I do have some personal goals. What I try to do this year a little bit different is have three specific goals: body, soul, and spirit, right? So the Apostle Paul speaking in 2 Thessalonians 5:22, may the God of peace sanctify you wholly, body, soul, and spirit. And so I was like, all right, so I have personal goals, resolution this year, body. I want to be healthier, so trying to develop healthier habits. I put myself on an accountability to our men. Did our Man Up Rich weekend, and I told the guys I'm going to get to my goal weight this year. So you guys now have it on the Forge Truth podcast. So So if by October 8th I'm not 195 pounds, you guys have all rights to just ride me hard. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to be. That's it. Yeah. That's
no cash involved.
No cash involved. You can just bust my chops. So there it is.
If you really, if you want to put some cash on it though, then you might be more motivated.
Yeah. I'm just going to stick to where I'm at. I'll do that. So yeah. So that's that.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's one of them.
Okay.
That's the body, soul, just personal, emotional, really thinking about fire team, my fire team. A lot of times as a pastor, at least for me, I don't know about you, when you were pastoring, I internalize a lot, and you're always on guard because you never want to be that guy. But, I just decided that I'm just going to be free in the gospel, and I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to lean on my fire team. And when I'm struggling with whatever it is, just be able to share and not be unhealthy, because I think as a pastor, I want to be healthy. And then, spiritual goals, I have the benefit of having a full-time job in ministry. And so if I miss my daily appointment with God first thing in the morning, I can come and take my first hour of my day and do that.
Right.
And I don't want to cheat anymore. So I'm saying, God, I want to make sure that I'm up earlier, so disciplining myself more. So that's it. And, my word of the year for me that God has been dealing with me on toward the end of the year was just being diligent, so being diligent, discipline, they kind of go together. So that's where I'm at, man. So those are my goals.
I love it. So body, soul, and spirit, that's a good way to think in terms of resolutions or goals.
Can you guys just inform me, what's the difference between soul and spirit? I don't have a good working definition of that.
Yeah.
So I think there's debate, right? Are we a tripartite being, or just like dualistic, body and spirit? So for me, I'm more of the tripartite guy. So I think that we are body, soul, and spirit. Body, obviously, that's the physical. Soul is more your psyche, your mind, who you are. Spirit being more your connection with the Lord in that sense. So that's the difference that I would say. And so what is it? Hebrews 11, the word of God. No, Hebrews 4, I think it is. I could be wrong, but you guys can check me later on. But the word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing, spirit and soul. So I think that there has to be some kind of difference there. But again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, that is one of those debates that is significant. Are we dipartite or tripartite?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And some would say when Paul says, "May your body, soul, and spirit be preserved until the day of Christ." Some commentators say, "Well, that's really just the whole of you."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Body and soul, spirit. But yeah, I think so. I've been tripartite, and I'd probably say the dipartite. But I see your point. That's probably where I'm probably dipartite, the whole of us. But we are material and immaterial. Mm-hmm. And so in the eternal state, this is another discussion.
Yeah.
We will be body and material and immaterial.
Yeah.
But I still think the body, soul, and spirit is a good way of looking, at goals for the coming year.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Zach?
Here's what I took from it, and you tell me if I got it right. Okay?
Yeah.
Body is the body.
Yeah.
Soul is kind of like your personality, and spirit is like your spiritual self.
Spiritual life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when I think soul, I think your emotions, your feelings, like
personality,
right? Your personality,
your mannishness.
Right. Even like when you talk about, oh my goodness, temperament.
Yeah.
I think your temperament, like when I see that, right? Like the spirit controlled temperament, when I think about that, like your temperament, that's your soul. That's like your makeup. That's your inner man that you're born, like this is how you're wired. And, when you're born again, right? If we're saying we're dead in our trespasses and sins, I think, well, we know that our body is alive. We definitely know our soul is alive, but our spirit is dead. That's my understanding.
Separated from God.
Right. And so that's the dead part of us. So that's what I think. That's, again, I know this is about
we're talking about resolutions,
but hey, there you go for you
guys listening at home. This content is free. That is incredible.
This is some of the best stuff they'll get. I know.
You're getting this for free right now.
All of life is theological.
Yeah.
All of life is biblical.
Yes.
So you can't talk about resolutions. So Zach, do you do resolutions?
Of course. Yeah. I'm a big goal guy.
See, now I think that's fascinating because as I was thinking about this broadcast, I do think there's a relationship to the idea and of resolutions and goals. I think really when you make a resolution, you're setting a goal.
Yeah, and let me say this: I don't really think in terms of resolutions a lot. It's a goal that happens to be around this time of year. You know what I mean? But I always have goals going on. I do specifically perform a life audit on myself every year.
That's good.
At the end of the year.
That's good.
And so if you're not familiar with the concept, it's basically you pretend you're an IRS agent, but for every aspect of your life, and you scrutinize the different parts of your life, the domains in which you live, and look for ways you can improve. Or ways that you're just skirting by. And so
you do that at the end of the year?
I do that at the end of the year, just in preparation for setting off a good year. And don't play yourself. Like be a harsh critic of what you've done well and where you can improve. And I've always found that really fruitful to do. So, but I certainly have big goals for this year.
And I'm a goal setter. I mean, years ago, I learned the difference between goal setters and problem solvers, and that there are two different kinds of people. Like my wife's a problem solver. I don't think she's ever set a goal in her life, but she's solved a lot of problems. But solving a problem is the same thing as setting a goal. When you see a problem that you want to solve, you have to think sort of systematically about how am I gonna fix that, and that's setting goals. Even though she doesn't think that way. And I know a lot of people that say, I don't set goals. I don't set resolutions. But I think if you're a leader, and we all say that, when we talk at Forge about our purpose as men, we're leaders, worker providers, warrior ambassadors. If you're a leader, you gotta be setting goals, or solving problems within your family or your work or your church or whatever. I don't think a pastor, for instance, or a spiritual leader can say, I don't set goals. You better be. But I think the place to start is that life audit. That's good.
From my perspective, there's kind of two approaches to life that people take, and I'm a little judgmental on one of them, so I'll confess it here.
A little arrogant on that?
But one is that there's always room to grow.
Yeah.
And so, you're always going to challenge yourself. There's room to grow, room to get better, room to improve. And the other is, I'm good. I'm done. Like I'm old now. I don't need to try anymore. I don't need to improve. I don't need to get better. That's the one I'm judgmental on. I think some people give up and they stop trying to improve. They don't see the point. Maybe they've reached a level of comfortability that they're fine with. But I'm not fine with that. I always want to improve. And it's not because I need to, prove myself or earn salvation or God's favor or anything like that. That's already done. I have God's favor right now. It's just because I'm alive, and let's do something with that. Let's improve. It's going to improve my relationships. It's going to improve every aspect of my life if I'm personally trying to improve.
Totally.
Yeah. So I have a question, Zach, just before Dr. Pete gives us his goals or resolutions. So when you do this life edit, right?
Audit.
That you do audit. There you go. That's what So do you have a written list of questions that you ask yourself and then you journal?
Yeah. So what I do have, and it changes every year as I'm kind of refining it, and I might talk to Pete. I might want to try to formalize this and try to get it as a Forge initiative. But what I do is I have a list of spheres in my life, like categories, and then I'll go through and interrogate those.
Nice.
So I can tell you the list if you'd like. But
yeah. What's the list?
Okay. Let me pull it up while Pete tells you a story.
Yeah.
Well, the story I'll tell is that John Maxwell's got a great end of the year a tape video, which I didn't listen to this year. My son, Johnny, listens to it all the time and every year. And I did last year, but I haven't had a chance to this year, in which he helps on the whole life audit idea. Interesting play on words. We audit so we can edit. We audit so God can edit us and help us set goals for the next year. I like that.
Okay, so here's the different categories that I'll interrogate for myself. Faith and spiritual, that's obvious. Marriage and relational. So if you're not married, then your girlfriend, or or if you have no girlfriend, then why? Kids, parental, friends, social, family, familial. That's like not your wife and your kids. That's the family of origin or extended family, that kind of thing. Money, financial, health, physical, work, vocational, learning, educational, because I think it's important to always be learning and challenging yourself mentally. Fun and recreational, so that would include hobbies and entertainment and that stuff. Mental state, psychological, so are you depressed? Are you tend to be in a good mood, like interrogating your emotions. Community, communal, are you participating in your neighborhood or in your work culture, things like that. Society, societal. So, what are you doing for like the greater society, America and stuff like that. And then creation and global. So, do you enjoy nature? Are you outside? Are you participating in God's earth and that kind of thing? So those are the categories.
We'll make that a Ford initiative this year, and toward the end of the year in our teaching time, we'll spend a couple of weeks on it and get guys prepared. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is. And those are good areas. And I think this is the one area, my dad never taught me to do any of this stuff, and most dads don't. And most men don't like, we deal with a very complex world, but we don't want to get complex about our internal world. And that's where we need to spend actually more time. I even find as I get older, I need to spend more time thinking and praying about my life and my time usage, every aspect. So this is what we want to encourage men to go deeper. I set goals too, but let me tell you three things. Three resolutions. This is what I thought. There are three resolutions. You should never make a resolution from one of these three motivations. Unthinking resolutions. Never make an unthinking resolution. Like when somebody says, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to get to that, and you go, oh, I'll do that too. Don't do that. That's an unthinking resolution just because somebody else has to do it. I mean, you know, Bishop's getting to Bishop's ideal weight. I kid you every week you come into Forge in the morning, I grab your bicep, you know, I say, you need to lift more.
Yeah,
no, you could break me in half already, you know. But
a good Bible reference for that is the parable of the man that wants to build like a silo.
yeah.
And God says, well, have you thought this through? Like your life might be called from you tomorrow. You know, you got to count the cost before you.
That's right. And sometimes certain temperaments of men make decisions in an unthinking way. Don't do that. The other one is from manipulation or guilt. People, you know, my mother was a travel agent for guilt trips. You know, I mean, the guy said, and a lot of people make resolutions out of guilt and manipulation. Their wife, their friends, and those never last. And then the third is ungodly or unbiblical resolutions. Yeah. I think I'm going to learn, I think I'm going to steal more this year. You know, I mean, right. So those are at least three areas where we should never make from those motivations.
That's great. That's a good list.
Help me a little bit. And particularly the first one, because I think, the first two, really, the unthinking or manipulation. They have to be deep-seated, spirit-led resolutions and goals. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not going to keep them.
Yeah. Well, especially for the second one, life is too short to do things just to please other people.
Bingo.
And you're not gonna accomplish something. It's hard to meet a goal.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna do it if it's not coming from somewhere inside.
That is so true. That is so true.
So, Doctor, do you have some resolutions this year? We want to hear those.
Specific,
we want to
come on.
hold you accountable, you know, as well. You know, you're holding me accountable, so we got to do this.
Yeah,
to
but
you
like
too.
you said, it's easier for me to hold you accountable than for me to have a fire team. I've got 10 personal goals, and I've got how many for Forge? Where is that? I've got bingo. I have got 15 goals for Forge this coming year. So, I mean, that's too many. I like your categories, body, soul, and spirit, but I have to write down my goals. I think leadership goals for our organizations, we're going in so many different directions. I have to write them down. I review them every morning and my dog time. As I remember who I am, I got to look at these goals, and then what happens is as you make those goals, as God edits you, as you audit and then get edited, and you set goals. A lot of times, those goals that you set, as you pray about them and look at them each day of the new year, sometimes the Holy Spirit edits them again and says, no, that's not really what I was saying, and here's how I want you to see it. So there's a sense in which goal setting is and resetting is always taking place. Do you find that? Yeah. It's not just once a year, it's all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit a goal, you know, like I'm gonna hit this goal weight. Well, what am I gonna do? Well, at that point, I'm just gonna get unhealthy again. No, then I want to maintain healthy habits, right? I want to maintain a healthy mindset, you know, whatever that is, you know. Then I want to, I don't know, do an Ironman or something like that. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do an Ironman, but you know, maybe
not with that attitude.
Maybe no. I have no. I don't like to swim. I don't like to swim like that. Right. So I have like
you could do it, but you just don't like it.
I mean, I have no desire to do that.
Yeah.
But I could say, hey, but I want to do a Spartan race. You know, or I want to do something like maybe that's something that I would like to do. So anyway, I think that I would agree with that.
I'd like to recover the abs that I never had when I was 25. That's really what hope springs eternal, man. I mean, so we're always, what is that that deal? A leader is, there's an acronym, SERVE. And there's a sense in which within that acronym, and I've got it right here, but do I have it right here? I don't know. But it's a leader always is, oh yeah, here it is. See the future, engage and develop others, reinvent continuously, value results and relationships, and embody the values. I look at that almost every day. So there's that sense of reinventing continuously, not to just to do more work, I think, but to say, Holy Spirit, am I on the right path? Mm-hmm. And so goals need to be, when you meet them, you met him, but maybe goals need to be shifted.
Yeah, I mean, and I think what you're talking about, like when I talk about the body, soul, and spirit, that's personal, right? That's not, that has, I want to always differentiate between the personal goals, the personal resolutions, and then goals that I might have for, in our case, right, ministry, but in other cases, at work, what are goals that you as a guy have at work? What are some things that you can actually become better at? How could you be more effective in your workplace? You could have goals in your neighborhood, with your family. So I think that's important. So for
that's what Zach was talking. Jack, I called you Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Jack, nice to meet you.
Jack.
Welcome to the podcast.
Right, and this is kind of what you guys are saying. There's two types of goals. There's one that's completely under your own control, and then there's another that you participate in. You can help to try to bring about, but it's ultimately not up to you. It's just something you would like to see for an area that you're involved in. So for instance, like a Forge goal, you have these goals. They're not 100% in your control.
Right.
But you can 100% work towards those goals.
That's right. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And that's really, in fact, several of our Forge goals this year are in that category.
Right.
We can do
So you need both type of goals.
What's that?
You need both type of goals. You need personal goals that are totally in your control, just so you're not putting the onus on something that's totally out of your control all the time. But then you really need things that you participate in and you're a part of, but you work 100% for.
That's good. And I got to admit, I'm going public right now. I'm addicted to sugar, and carbs. There's not a carb out there that I don't like. And I know that if I have too much sugar, my blood sugar was up to 110 today. I'm a pre-diabetic. I can't keep going that way.
Right.
And so every night after dinner, how many cookies, should I have or whatever? Yeah. And I got to watch that, and that's got to be me. Oh. And I'm not overweight for my age and height. I'm not.
No, I want to look like you. When I'm your age.
Yeah, right. When I
can't have the hair, but that's gone. But the rest, I could be there, right? If I maintain. And but yeah, for sure. I think
and that's what Zach was saying. Yeah. I got to control this. I can't say, I can say, Lord, help me be disciplined. Mm-hmm. But I also just need to be disciplined.
Right.
And
yeah. Now, are you guys familiar with SMART goals?
Yeah. Explain that.
Okay, so this is a framework to think about goals to help them be their most effective, right? So you could have a pie in the sky goal, but if there's no way you're going to achieve it, then it's not going to happen.
Right.
So the SMART goal kind of framework is a way to think about it, and each letter of the word SMART it has a word attached to it. So the S is for specific. So it shouldn't just be I want to get healthier, right? Because that's not specific enough. It's no, I want to lose body fat. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a specific goal. And the M is measurable. So it should be something that you can actually track, because otherwise you're not going to know if you achieved the goal or not.
Right.
If it's I want to be happier, how do you know if you've actually achieved that or not? It's too amorphous. Mm-hmm. So if it's to lose weight, it's I'd love to lose 30 pounds. Yeah. That's measurable. It's achievable. So you're not going to want to say, I want to get down to maybe 35 pounds. I'd like to be 35 pounds. That's not achievable. No, it makes a bad goal.
You never should even attempt to achieve that.
Yeah, don't attempt it. Mm. It should be something that's doable. Or I want to lose 200 pounds this year. That's not achievable. The R is relevant, right? So it should be something that is important and actually makes a difference, and and that kind of thing. And then time bound is the T. And so time bound meaning at some point in my life I'd like to achieve this goal. Well, there's room for that. At some point in your life maybe you want to walk the Great Wall of China. But if you're actually going to get something done, you should say, okay, in the next 9 weeks I'm going to go to the gym twice a week every week. And that's right. Jason, when you were doing the 75 hard,
right,
that is 100% a SMART goal.
Yeah.
It ticks off all
Specific,
those.
measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Yeah. Yeah. And so several of our goals are that I have for this year, like even to finish this book we're writing, I want to get it done by March 1st. I want to get all the chapters done at least by March 1st. Now that's going to push me. Right. But I can do it if I would work.
Yeah.
So I love that. And that's a good framework for me. What should we do, guys, to get to, and we don't have a lot of time left, but what should we do in order to make SMART goals? What steps can we take that can help us think properly in order to make SMART goals?
Well, so I personally think you need 2 steps for sure. These are non-negotiables. One is you need to bring them to the Lord before you commit to them. Mm-hmm. You should not be committing to anything in your life without first bringing it to the Lord, because He should be involved in all your decisions.
Totally.
And you don't need to wait around for Him to like audibly tell you go do this. But if you don't even talk about it with Him, then you just have no excuse. You haven't even tried to talk to God about it. So bring it before the Lord if you're going to commit to something, because we have to stick to our commitments, right? Mm-hmm. If you make a goal, accomplish the goal. You committed to something. The second is you got to write it down. It's got to be on paper, on purpose. If it's not on paper, there's no proof. And without proof, there's no accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you guys think?
No, that's good. I think we got to spend time in the Word to determine what those goals ought to be. And I think, in addition to what Zach said, I think write them out. Writing burns the fuzz off our thinking. It enables us to go, how can I get it clear and smart? And I think it's good to share it with somebody else before you lock into it. Somebody on your fire team that you trust. Hey, these are what I'm thinking of some of my goals for the year. What do you think? And then they can ask some questions, and then praying about them, before you actually do them.
I would agree. I agree with exactly what you guys said. I mean, if you're gonna do it, don't do it alone.
Yeah, right.
And just keep at it, and with those people, get people around you also that are gonna encourage you when you're not hitting the goal. They're not gonna condemn you. So that encouragement, you need that as well.
Yeah.
To the point where if there's someone in your life saying you're not going to do that,
right?
I would have a conversation with that person and saying, "Don't tell me that. It's not helpful to me."
Totally.
And I don't appreciate you saying that and speaking that into my life.
Yeah, and be careful what you say in response to other people's goals. When they say to you, "I got a goal for this," I'll never forget when Karen and I were first married. She was making a cross-stitch thing for her grandma. And it was like November 2nd. And I said, when do you have to have that done? She said, for Christmas. I said, you'll never get that done. And she looked at me, with like, you idiot, and that was the last time I said, you'll never get that done. But how discouraging we can be to other people. And of course, she got it done in plenty of time. Yeah. But you tell me I can't do it. But it's good to have people who are close to you say, no, I don't think that's a smart goal.
Right. Or to help you, break it down. One of the podcasts I was listening to was the 12-week year. And so, breaking down goals into 12-week increments throughout the year. So it's like, okay, we're going to, in these next 12 weeks, this is what I'm going to hit.
Right.
And these next 12 weeks, this is, these are the goals that, these are the steps to that thing. And that's how we're going to get there. Instead of just thinking, oh man, it's that old, saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. We just got to figure out where we're going to start. Instead of just, we can become overwhelmed by so many things that we want to do. And so I think that that's another thing that I would add to the whole thought of setting those goals is don't look at everything and get so overwhelmed that you don't even want to start. Right. But just figure out where can I start? What is that one thing that I can do, to kind of get there? So,
in addition to that, and this whole idea is that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year, and underestimate what we can accomplish in 5. Mm-hmm. And I learned that in the pastorate, even in Forge ministry, and so sometimes we need to set longer trajectories for bigger goals. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah, for sure. And don't be surprised if it's hard.
Yeah.
Because I think more and more I'm realizing there's nothing that's worth doing that's not hard.
Amen.
At least at first.
Amen. That's right. Totally agree.
Cool. Well, if you have any goals or New Year's resolutions that you are still working on, or maybe you've given up, we'd love to hear about them. And if you have any advice about how we can follow our goals, please let us know. You can email the show at forgetruth.com. If you would want to leave a comment or a like, subscribe, or send the show to a friend, we would really appreciate it. And we want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Forge Truth podcast. Pete, are you going to lay down a challenge for us?
I'll do it. I love being with my brothers. Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And one of the great things about the gospel is that God has set us free to live an abundant life, John 10:10. And part of that is getting and finding out what God is doing and joining him. So by his grace, in his word, from his spirit, with your brothers, set God-ordained smart goals and go for it and experience the blessings of God.